Do you often play backhands when you don't need to?
Or do your feet always get tangled up trying to go round the head and you can't play a good shot?
Or maybe you end up just watching the shuttle go over your head, hoping it goes out. If so, this video is going to be super helpful for you, as we're going to teach you the 5 different types of footwork you need to use to move to your backhand rear court corner. And these are relevant for both singles and doubles players.
Before we get into the different movements, the footwork you use will depend on 2 things. 1 is the height of your opponent's lift or clear, and 2 is how early you can get to this shot.
To keep it simple, we've come up with the lifting continuum, from high lifts to flat lifts. And there's 5 different footwork types you should use depending on the height of the lift.
We're going to start at the far left side with the high lifts, but stay tuned for number 4, the medium to flat lift, as this is the one that most people get wrong.
So, the high lift often comes when you force your opponent to take the shuttle late, and they therefore play a high lift to try and give themselves time to recover. However, whilst it gives them time, it also gives you time. And no, we don't mean it gives you time to slow down and practically walk there. This time is best spent making sure you get behind the shuttle.
Yeah, so with this type of lift, where you've got a lot of time, you've got 2 options. 1 is the 2-footed jump, and the second we'll come back to in just a minute.
The 2-footed jump is great because it makes you look really threatening, and also you can strike the shuttle higher, helping you create a better angle on your shot.
So to do this 2-footed jump footwork, you start by doing a directional split step so that your non-racket leg is nearer to the backhand corner. You then push off your racket leg and pivot on your non-racket leg so that you're now facing sideways. Then you should quickly bring your non-racket leg towards your racket leg so that your feet come closer together. Your body weight is now moving downwards, ready to push up and do a 2-footed jump. But what shots should you play from here?
Well, as we've said, this is a threatening position, so you can be really attacking and play a smash, or you could even try and be sneaky and play a deceptive drop shot or punch clear.
Now, a lot of you watching might be thinking, that looks great, but I've never done a 2-footed jump on court in my life. And that's okay. This does require a lot of explosive power and good technique to get the timing right. And even a lot of the top professional players don't do this footwork. Instead, they choose a scissor kick to focus on their timing, accuracy, and power, which can often be easier with this movement.
Yeah, and this scissor kick movement is very useful because it's also what we'd recommend doing from the next lift, a medium to high lift.
We estimate that you'll actually use this scissor kick movement roughly 80% of the time when someone has lifted to your round the head side, no matter if you're playing singles or doubles.
It's so important that we've broken it down step by step in an entire video, which we'll link in the description below. But as a reminder, you again do a directional split step, then push off your racket leg and pivot on your non-racket leg so that you're facing sideways. Up until this point, the footwork is identical to the 2-footed jump, but at this point, after the pivot, you push off your racket leg and your legs switch, like scissors.
As we've said, not jumping can make it easier to time your shot, but you are still able to play an aggressive shot using this footwork. And as your body weight is naturally moving back into court afterwards, it helps your recovery. So, what shots would you typically play from this footwork?
Well, anything to be honest. A smash, stick smash, slice, clear, or drop.
Okay, let's move on to medium height lifts. Here, if you're in a good enough position to hit your shot round the head, for example, you're coming from the middle of the court, then you would again use a scissor kick. Doing this movement means you'll generally be able to play more aggressive shots, as you can generate more power. And you have more options of what shots you can actually play. But if you're going to be a bit later to the shuttle from this medium height lift, and you can't take it round the head, then this is the time to use a backhand. This is a shot that most people want to do well, but too many rely on.
The backhand footwork is more common in singles because more often you'll be in situations where you'll be later to the shuttle as you have more court to cover and you therefore can't do a scissor kick.
So, to do this footwork, you again want to do this directional split step so your non-racket leg is closest to the corner. You then do a chassé step with your feet in this same formation, and then you pivot on your non-racket leg so that you're now facing backwards. You should strike the shuttle as your racket foot is landing, as this helps you add extra power into your shot.
As we said earlier, the backhand shot is one that a lot of players want to do well, but often it's their footwork letting them down. So let's share a couple of common mistakes that people often make so that you can avoid making them too.
One is not adjusting your chassé step. The size of this will depend on A, where you're coming from, and B, your height.
If you're a taller player or close to the shuttle, you might not need to do this small chassé. Or if you're starting your split step from further away, you're going to need to do a bigger chassé. Adjusting the size of your chassé is important, because if you're too far away from the shuttle or too close, then this will reduce your power and control.
A second common mistake is actually using this backhand footwork too much. As we said earlier, it's much better to pivot faster and use the scissor kick if you can. But if the lift is flatter and you don't have time to pivot and get behind the shuttle, the backhand isn't your only choice. You can also use our fourth movement type, the jump out.
Yeah, a lot of people see this medium to flat lift and think, I'll have to play a backhand. But this is where a lot of people go wrong, because they're not immediately thinking about using the jump out. And this is a shot that can really take your game to the next level. So, how do you do this jump out footwork?
Well, first, you should do a split step with your feet pretty much side by side. Then you can either jump up straight away, or if it's a bit further away from you, you would do a small chassé step before doing your jump. As you're jumping up, you should keep your hips square to the net, and they actually stay facing the net for the entire movement.
The most common shot to hit from this footwork is the smash, and this is because you're intercepting the shuttle before it goes past you, so hitting an aggressive shot like this can really catch your opponent off guard.
After you've hit the shuttle, it's time for the most difficult part of this footwork, the landing. Unlike most shots in badminton, for this movement, you land with your non-racket leg first and then your racket leg. And a warning here, this footwork is really important to get right before you try it at full speed in a match. If you haven't developed the necessary technique or strength, there's a much higher chance of getting injured.
Yeah, and if you want to improve your on-court strength, we'd recommend checking out our badminton-specific weights programs. We'll include a link in the description below. Now, of course, if you instantly recognise that you don't have the time to do a jump out, then a backhand will be the right shot choice. This recognition does take practice though, which we'll get onto after the fifth and final type of lift.
Okay, so far on the continuum, we've got the two-footed jump, scissor kick, backhand, and the jump out. But what should you do for the really flat lifts?
Well, if you can't intercept it, then this is where you'd use a late backhand. Similar to the backhand we covered in the third movement, you start with a directional split step. You then do a small chassé and pivot on your non-racket leg so that you're facing backwards. Again, if you're a taller player or close to the shuttle, you might not need to do this small chassé.
There's a few key differences between the normal backhand and the late backhand. One is that you need to have a much lower centre of gravity. Two is that you should deep lunge rather than step as you strike the shuttle. And three is that you should have a panhandle grip, which enables you to hit the shuttle over the net when it's further behind you. But again, what shots should you play from this position?
Well, you've only really got two options, a drop shot or a clear. A clear will help you reset the rally more, but this will only work if you can generate the necessary power to get it past the middle of the court. A drop shot is therefore a safer and easier option. A quick tip here is to play a faster drop shot to make it harder for your opponent to play a tight net shot. This reduces the distance you then have to cover on the next shot.
Now, when it comes to implementing these 5 different footwork types into your own game, you need to practice them. And you should eventually get so good at these movements that you can do them while speaking. To prove this is possible, we're going to spend 60 seconds showing you 2 practices whilst talking to you about the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark VPN.
So Surfshark VPN is a virtual private network that we use literally every day. And as we've shared 5 movement types in this video, we're going to share 5 benefits of Surfshark VPN.
1. By changing your virtual location in just a few clicks, you can watch any live badminton match that was previously geo-blocked.
2. It means that websites can't show you prices based on your location or device. So by turning on Surfshark VPN, you can get the best deals when shopping online.
Before we share the final 3 benefits, let's move on to the second practice, where I'm now going to lift with different heights and Greg has to make the decision of which footwork to use.
3. With one subscription, you can have it on unlimited devices. 4. Another benefit of changing your virtual location is that you can access different catalogues on Netflix, meaning that you can never run out of shows to watch.
And 5, it's less than $3 a month. And by using our discount code BadmintonInsight, you get an extra 3 months for free. All you need to do is click the top link in the description below, or scan the QR code that's on screen now.
We'll also include all of the individual footwork tutorials that we've mentioned throughout this video, as well as the 4 different movements to the forehand corner in the description below.
Yep, and on your way down to the description, don't forget to give the video a like if you've enjoyed it, smash the subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll hopefully see you on another video very soon. Bye!
Bye.